Soo-jin is urinary incontinence at the age of 28. Urine fell on her feet through her dress. To avoid embarrassing the family, husband Hil-soo rushed up to his wife and pulled her into the bedroom. He rushed to tear his own clothes and wipe the excrement from his wife's body. And what made him even more devastated was that the next day when Soo-jin took Hil-soo to work, she said her ex-boyfriend's name in front of Hil-soo. "Young man, I love you." The strange thing is that Hil-soo is not angry. He knew it was Yujin's illness again. Finally, he forced himself to smile and left the house. But the moment he closed the door, Hil-soo couldn't stop the tears from flowing. What is the cruelty that destroyed this loving couple? This movie teaches you how to love and cherish, and to embrace the one you can live without. Soo-jin is the daughter of a rich family. She has just broken up with her boyfriend of 5 years. She went to the supermarket to buy a Coke to quench her thirst. But after checking out, she realized that she forgot the Coke. When Soo-jin came back to get it, she was blocked by a scruffy man at the door. Soo-jin looked at the Coke in the man's hand, and then she looked at the empty front counter. She thought that the man had taken her Coke, so she grabbed the Coke from him and finished it herself. She burped and threw the empty bottle to the man. Soo-jin then picks up his backpack and leaves in style. Hil-soo, who was at a loss for words, was left behind. When she got on the bus and swiped her card, she realized that she had left her wallet at the supermarket. When she returned to the supermarket again, before Soo-jin could say anything, the clerk took out her wallet and Coke from below. It turned out to be a misunderstanding. Soo-jin and Hil-soo's first encounter just passed by. But fate is so wonderful. On that day, Yujin's company was undergoing renovation. Coincidentally, the person in charge of the project was Hil-soo, whom she met last night. They looked at each other. Soo-jin ran behind the wall and hid in embarrassment. She wanted to buy a Coke to calm down and relax, but as soon as the Coke fell out of the vending machine, a big hand came up behind her. Before Soo-jin could react, Hil-soo pushes her against a wall. Then Hil-soo imitated Yujin's previous behavior. The nervous pressure made Soo-jin blush. Hil-soo finished his Coke and didn't forget to burp. Now we don't owe each other anything. On the way home, Soo-jin couldn't stop thinking about what she had just seen. She couldn't stop giggling. Suddenly, her back was snatched by a mugger on a motorcycle. At this critical moment, the car door in front of her suddenly opened. The robber was hit by the car door and fell to the ground, unable to move. Hil-soo brought a sense of security. Soo-jin was stunned. In the end, he also helped Soo-jin fix his backpack. He tried it out and found that it was sturdy. By now it was getting late, so Hil-soo simply smashed the windshield. He drove Soo-jin home in his homemade limited edition minigun car. He was worried that the wind would hurt Soo-jin, so he made her put on a welding cap. A sense of romantic security combined with details. This series of actions also made Soo-jin have feelings for this gentleman in front of her. From then on, Soo-jin would wear bright lipstick every day and wear beautiful clothes. She only comes to the Hil-soo side after work and seek a glance at him from a distance. Finally, on this night, she got her chance. Soo-jin said she was passing by, so they could go for a drink and dinner together. Soo-jin poured a glass of wine for Hil-soo, but Hil-soo said that if she drank the drink, they will start a relationship. If she doesn't drink it, they'll be strangers. So Soo-jin drank it all without hesitation. At this point, they established a formal relationship and started dating. Hil-soo, who was in love, changed his usual unkempt image. He started to shave off his beard, putting on perfume. They went shopping together. They played together. They played baseball together. Hil-soo wanted to give Soo-jin a bright future. Hil-soo prepares for his architect's license. He started to study for it all day long, and Soo-jin made a suit for Hil-soo himself. Hil-soo was taking the exam. Soo-jin was waiting patiently for him outside the classroom. The sunset was filled with the romantic atmosphere of the two of them. Soon after, Soo-jin proposed to Hil-soo that he wanted to get married, but Hil-soo rejected it on the spot. He knew that he was poor now, so even if they get married, he can't give Soo-jin happiness. So Hil-soo got angry and asked Soo-jin to come to his senses. She's a princess, but he is a beggar. Even if they get married, they will never be able to grow old together. But Soo-jin didn't give up, so that day she secretly asked her father out without telling Hil-soo. Hil-soo turned his head in disbelief. They were both dumbfounded, since Yujin's father is Hil-soo's boss. So while Soo-jin was going to the bathroom, he said to Hil-soo that you were fired. The situation was very awkward, but then Soo-jin suddenly fainted and fell on the floor. Hil-soo rushed to pick up Soo-jin and ran to the hospital. Hil-soo's frank and selfless love was all seen by her father. Luckily, the doctor said that Soo-jin had just fainted from stress and was not seriously injured. When he saw his daughter's face full of love when she woke up and hugged her lover, Yujin's father probably had an answer in silence. Their wedding came as planned. Soo-jin looked like an angel in a white dress. Hil-soo was frown-seen in place. The love of the two of them filled the room. After the wedding, In order to give Sujin a better life, Hyo-soo started to work harder and harder. He not only successfully obtained his architect's license, he also made his first money with his knowledge. Hyo-soo won the favor of a big leader. Of course, in the midst of his busy work schedule, he did not forget to spend occasional intimate time with Sujin. This time has given them so many sweet memories. Hyo-soo's dream was to build a house for Sujin on the mountainside with his own hands. For this reason, the couple would come to the construction site every day to imagine their future home and where the furniture would be placed. However, this became a dream that they could never touch in their lifetime. They thought they would be happy forever, but God seems to be jealous of their relationship. Recently, Yujin's forgetfulness has been getting worse and worse. Even she sometimes can't remember the way home. She had to hesitate to enter the house. When she finally found it, she decided to go to the doctor. After a series of tests, she was finally diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Sujin was stunned. She rushed to ask the doctor if there was a cure. However, the doctor said helplessly, "You should quit your job. You won't be able to type or answer the phone anymore. You can't take care of yourself. You can't do anything." Sujin will eventually forget her family and friends, including herself. All of Yujin's memories will be gone. Sujin cried helplessly on the side of the road when she found out the truth. Sujin returned home. Hyo-soo, who didn't know, held his wife in his arms as usual, looking at her husband who loves her so much. Sujin decided to hide the truth from her husband, but when she thought that she would soon forget her lover, Sujin still used the sound of water flowing every night to cover up the sound of painful tears in order to leave her husband with more memories of their relationship. Sujin simply quit her job. She became a full-time wife at home and dresses and cooks for her husband. Until this day, Hyo-soo opened the lunch box prepared by his wife. Colleagues looked at him with envy. They wanted to see what he had to offer, but when Hyo-soo opened the lunch box, he found the boxes of white rice. Hyo-soo also seemed to notice something strange about Sujin, so he tentatively went to the doctor. He learns from the doctor that Sujin has Alzheimer's disease. She grabs the doctor and asks if they got the wrong person because they got the wrong lab test. However, the doctor's wife had died of Alzheimer's disease. When Hyo-soo heard that Sujin was going to die like a vegetable, his worldview completely collapsed. He doesn't know what is the point of living in this world if Sujin dies. In the evening, Hyo-soo goes to the baseball stadium where they often go. He finds Sujin hiding here. Sujin guesses that Hyo-soo already knows about her illness. Sujin says, "I have an eraser in my head. Let's break up." Hyo-soo says that even if Sujin forgets everything, he will always be with her and find her. They left the baseball stadium hand in hand after that. From then on, there were many labels on the walls, furniture, and everywhere in the house. This was done in case Sujin got lost. Hyo-soo hung his phone number and home address on Yujin's chest. He thought this life would last too. But shortly after Hyo-soo left, ex-boyfriend Yeon-min arrives just in time to deliver something to Sujin. Sujin, who had a faulty memory, thought she was still in love with Yeon-min, so she invited Yeon-min into the room. Luckily, Hyo-soo didn't go far. He rushed into the room. Sujin hid behind Yeon-min in fear. Then Hyo-soo punched Yeon-min and knocked him to the ground. Sujin saw Yeon-min being beaten. She rushed forward to stop Hyo-soo, but she accidentally cut Hyo-soo's arm. Angry, Hyo-soo dragged Yeon-min outside. He punched Yeon-min one by one to vent his anger. At that moment, Sujin had another attack. She then collapsed on the ground. The scene was seen by Yujin's family, who came to visit her family. When the father-in-law found out about his daughter's illness, he asked them to divorce, but Sujin suddenly came out and asked everyone what happened. Hyo-soo saw his wife incontinent and rushed to pull her into the bedroom and locked the door of the room. He tore his clothes to wipe his wife's urine. He knew that his wife did not have much time left to live, so Hyo-soo stayed up all night and the house model was ready. He planned to start building a new home for them right away. But just as he got up to go to work, his wife fell ill again. She said her ex-boyfriend's name in front of Hyo-soo and said, "I love you," with deep emotion. Hyo-soo forced a smile out of his face and left disappointed. He loved his wife but never dared to reveal her lies. After Hyo-soo left, Sujin looked at all the labels and photos in the room. She seemed to think that she had forgotten something. When she went to her husband's tool bag and touched the wooden hammer that Hyo-soo used to use, she instantly remembered the daily life with her husband. Sujin realized that she had acted foolishly in those days. She had deeply hurt the man she loved the most. When Hyo-soo returned home, he only saw the envelope and divorce papers left by his wife on the table. Sujin said she really loved Hyo-soo, but Sujin didn't want to drag him down. She wanted to see him live happily ever after, so she had to leave him with regret. After Hyo-soo read the letter, Sujin left. His heart ached so much that his whole body went numb and he couldn't breathe. Probably thousands or even tens of thousands of times I love you can't explain Eugen's love for Hyo-soo. Hyo-soo tore up the divorce papers and quit his job. He started searching the world for Eugen's whereabouts. Until this day, Hyo-soo found a letter from a nursing home. The sender was Eugen's name, so he drove to the nursing home where Soo-jin was. Before meeting him, Hyo-soo put on the perfume of their first date. He hopes to awaken Eugen's memory. As Hyo-soo pulled back the curtain, he finally sees the girl he's been longing for. He looks at Eugen's picture book and sees him all over it. Hyo-soo asks Soo-jin expectantly, "Do you remember me?" But Soo-jin asks, "Do we know each other?" Soo-jin smelled a familiar smell while eating. She tried to remember, but she couldn't remember anything. Then Hyo-soo took Soo-jin to the place where they first met. It was still the same supermarket, the bottle of Coke. It seemed like time had gone back to yesterday. Soo-jin walked into the supermarket. She looked at every familiar face in the store. Soo-jin remembered everything. She felt like this was heaven. Even if there is an eraser in your mind, then I'll stay by your side, because it's the power of love. If we can't resist fate, then let love continue to shine in the memory.